What went wrong yesterday? Well, what didn't go wrong, I think, is the better question to ask. There was so many things that I think the Chiefs could have done better at, but we're going to talk about every single thing and what exactly is in the cards for the coming weeks for this Kansas City Chiefs squad. All that coming up right here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jay Sanders. Let's get right into it with what is wrong. So it's pretty obvious there is a divide between what this team basically is looking to achieve and what they have been achieving. You're not exactly where you thought you would be. If I'd have told Chiefs Kingdom at the beginning of the season you'd be 9-6 right now playing the Bengals, I think you would actually probably just lie down and die. I don't think that was even a thought, to be quite honest with you. I mean, heck, I'm going to be quite literal. I predicted the Chiefs to have 5 losses. I did. And I got ripped. People did not like it. But now we're sitting here at 9-6, and I wish we were 12-5. The max wins right now is 11. At best, you're 11-6. I mean, this team has just kind of fallen off a cliff all of a sudden, and there's multiple reasons to look at. We're going to talk about all of them, and let's kind of start with what can be done for these next 2 weeks. So you start with this wide receiver. You start with Patrick Mahomes and looking at how exactly you can go about this with the upcoming weeks. Because I'm not going to say that it was Patrick Mahomes' fault by any means. He looked like he was the only guy carrying out there, to be quite honest. But his stat line wasn't exactly a Patrick Mahomes stat line. Now, it's hard because you have this guy to such a high level, and you compare him to that high level every time he steps on the field. So when he goes out there and looks lost, when he goes out there and throws for 235, which some would call respectable, it doesn't seem that good because it's not Patrick Mahomes. He's the MVP. He is what is people are saying will be the GOAT. Well, you can't say that if this keeps happening. Now, again, I'm not going to blame this at all, Patrick Mahomes, because it's not his fault. I will say again, he looked like the only guy on that field that cared yesterday. Maybe Travis Kelce, but he cared when he was frustrated. But it seemed like Patrick was constantly, I want to get this done, I want to get this done. Nobody else really was. And it showed because he was rushing the ball as well. Obviously, you were out with Jerick McKinnon. He has that groin injury and is out for the season with IR. He may be back in the playoffs, but obviously you don't know at this point. And you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And you have Isiah Pacheco back returning from that shoulder injury. But then he got a concussion. It was Pacheco that got injured. And now you have Mahomes, who is basically just trying to carry this team in every facet, in the running game, in the passing game, and sometimes the receiving game because these receivers just continue to drop the ball. It was funny. The CBS crew put up a graphic of how many drops the Chiefs had, and then they threw it to Travis Kelce, who dropped the next ball. I understand the frustration, and it's not just with the wide receivers or the offensive line anymore. He's frustrated with the play calling. And we saw this yesterday from Mahomes because there was multiple times where the camera caught him. One time, it was after a play had been called, and he goes, call the dang play already. It seemed like basically Matt Nagy and Andy Reid were struggling on the sideline to get the play into Patrick Mahomes, which is something that should not happen. Andy Reid's the one who calls the plays. Matt Nagy schemes it, and they converse on the sideline. This can't happen. You need to get the play in sooner, and that's one thing. And then he went to the sideline, and he mouthed, I could call a better game than this, or something of that nature, basically saying he's frustrated with these calls. Now, again, we're not professional lip readers. We don't know what he said. We probably will never know what he said because, well, he's not going to say what he said in the moment, in the fight of the game. It's just a hard time for Mahomes, and I understand it. It's a frustrating time for everybody, and he seems like he cares the most out of everybody on this team, even more than Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and every coach who has their jobs on the line right now. Not so much Andy Reid, but definitely Matt Nagy. Let's go back to Isiah Pacheco. Now, he got a concussion in that game. Sam McDowell confirmed this after Andy Reid said it in his press conference. Now, this adds so much problems because you already have the wide receiver issues. You have Patrick Mahomes being frustrated. You have so many things just sitting here thinking, okay, how exactly can we go about this team in any other way than using the running game to identify ourselves? But this running back room is going to be hurt. This running back room is in complete disarray right now. If Pacheco is out for a certain amount of time with the concussion, which he's in concussion protocol, we don't know what exactly that means, how long he'll be out. But either way, if he's out, this running back room is in big, big trouble. And here's why. McKinnon is on IR. You're out running back. Pacheco is now your number one. So if he's out, you're out too. That leaves Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Michael Pirine, who was officially signed to the active roster just this past week and did not see any snaps. I just don't know what to do in this standpoint because the receivers aren't performing. The running backs are getting injured, and Mahomes is just going out there trying to do whatever he can. And yet he still shows confidence. He still continues to show his confidence and give that to his team. And I kind of agree with him in this thing that he said yesterday. He said this after the game. If we clean it up, we can beat anybody. I truly believe that. I do too. Do you believe in this Chiefs team, though? I think there's some fans that are starting to kind of give up hope. Let me know in the comment section, do you believe in this Chiefs team? I want you to type Y for yes. I want you to type in for no. What are we thinking, Chiefs Kingdom? Is it time to move on? Is it time to figure out something? I don't know. I think there's this. I still believe in this team. I think that Patrick Mahomes put it perfectly. The only team that is beating this team is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are beating the Chiefs. They're beating themselves. There has been multiple times, if you look back on pretty much every one of the 6 losses besides maybe 2, there is a clear way that the Chiefs beat themselves. Let's go back to week 1. That missed pass by Kadarius Toney that bounced in the hands of the Lions. That's a team who just won their division. You probably beat them on opening night if Kadarius Toney bats down every ball. There's a couple of other games. Yesterday, you gave the Raiders 14 free points in a matter of 7 seconds. It's all on you. If you can clean up these mistakes, you can beat pretty much anybody. But you have to clean up the mistakes. And it hasn't been cleaned up, and it's almost week 17 now. In fact, it is week 17 now. No more time. I'm losing hope. You got to figure this out, and it's now or never. It's also now or never for your Prize Picks entries because I'm telling you, Prize Picks is super fun to play, and you should be playing it pretty much every day. I keep playing it every day. In fact, it's been super, super fun. It adds so much excitement to the sports viewing experience. I find myself watching pretty much every football game now, and it's really, really fun. Now, you can also get a $100 deposit match if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Here are my entries for Saturday, as that's the next NFL game. I've got the more on Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Amon-Ra St. Brown on the passing yards for Goff and Prescott, and the more on receiving yards for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm a more guy, and I think that's going to be an offensive game. It's in Dallas, and if you remember the last Dallas primetime game they had against the Seahawks, that was also a big offensive scoring game. I'm pretty sure we're going to see another one of those. Plus, Amon-Ra has been an absolute tear lately. I know the Lions just won their division, but I think they're going to still keep playing at a high level, especially with now a chance with that 1 seed in line after the Niners lost yesterday. Now, Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money-daily fantasy sports game. And, of course, with basketball season here, you don't have to just do NFL. You can combo your projections across the NBA and the NFL, so you can pick the more on, say, Jared Goff passing yards and Jason Tatum points. Once again, you can get a $100 deposit match by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and using that code CLNS. So do yourself a favor and go check out one of the #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks, as they've got quick withdrawals. They've got easy gameplay and an enormous section of players and stat times. Once again, prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that code at CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. It's that code that you see on the bottom of your screen, and we're going to put it in the comments and in the description. So make sure you go check it out. There was one silver lining on this video, and that was Rashee Rice. And he really played well yesterday. Again, he saw 12 targets, which I still think is crazy. I actually thought he did not have that much, but he broke a rookie record. I think that's the thing we got to be focusing on. He broke the rookie record for Chiefs receptions. He had 71. That was the rookie. Well, that was what broke the record. He's going to have so many more. I mean, this guy is a stud in his first year, a second-round pick out of SMU. I really like this pick. I think this may be a very underrated pick in Brett Veach's career, and it was really a shot in the dark. So I don't know how much credit I want to give to him, but Rashee Rice has been absolutely special, and honestly, he's been carrying this offensive team. If you look at the wide receiver numbers yesterday, him and Richie James combined for 100 yards. Travis Kelce had 44, and 42 of those came in the first half. I like that Rashee Rice had 12 targets. I don't like that Richie James had 3 targets, and he caught all 3 of them. I would love to see more of Richie James. I need to see more of Richie James. There seems like a problem in here. This week was the week to open it up. Your wide receiver room was hurt. You have Kadarius Toney, who was out. You have Sky Moore, who's on IR. McCall Hardman's not back from IR yet. This seemed like the perfect game to get those two names, not Rashee Rice and Marcus Valdes-Scantling, under them. Rashee Rice, you have Richie James. Under Kadarius Toney, you have Justin Ross. Use those two guys. And you didn't use them. Ross saw one target, and he caught it and got 3 yards. Richie saw 3 targets, and he caught all 3. And you didn't give him any more than that? I don't get it. The wide receiver issues on this team are starting to become not just with the actual receivers, but with the coaching staff and the way they're managing this entire team, from snap counts to the way they run routes. Like I said, Rashee Rice had 12 targets, but the routes that he was running weren't exactly the way that I think that they should play Rashee Rice. Now, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to control an offense, but I like to think that my football knowledge is pretty high. At the same time, I look at these routes, and I don't understand why we're throwing a fade route to Rashee Rice when the whole thing on his draft board was speed, was route running, and was the ability to have the basically wherewithal to use his agility to get open. And we're throwing fade routes to him when we have a guy like Justin Ross, who was known for his high pointing abilities, was known for him getting up in those corner of the end zones, gets the ball. And they didn't throw it to him. I'm just kind of confused because that was what we saw in the preseason. This preseason Chiefs team was exactly what I wanted this team to be. You have Justin Ross out there high-putting the ball. You have Rashee Rice doing these agility routes and running down the field. Where has that been? We still see Rashee Rice running under routes, which I'm fine with if you throw him the ball. But Mahomes was really struggling to give it to him. There was 3 times where Mahomes was running around and he had Rashee Rice under on an open route. He didn't throw it to him. And I don't know if that's because he doesn't trust him. I don't know if he doesn't like the routes running. But it's just weird that you see Rashee Rice there. And then Richie James, who is back and is healthy, only sees 3 targets after Andy Reid last week said, oh, it's on me. I want to get more snaps for Richie James. He had 2 targets last week. He had 3 this week. That's not more, Andy. That's not more. Mahomes just looks hesitant. I kind of alluded to that with Rice. I think he just is hesitant with everybody at this point. I don't think it's a trust issue in some ways with some receivers. I think that is with others. But he's just hesitant with every single throw he makes. Maybe I'm seeing this wrong. Maybe I am. I want to know from Chiefs Kingdom. You watched the game yesterday. You saw the highlights. Does Mahomes look hesitant to throw the football to certain receivers? If you think he is, well, I want you to type H for hesitant. If you think that Mahomes trusts his receivers still, you think he's still in line and still trusts them, then I want you to type T for trust. I want you to get in the comment section and let me know what you think, because this is kind of one of those things where you look at it and see basically everything that you have to see from basically an eye point perspective of how exactly are we going to go about this, and can Mahomes start to feel that trust again? Because he says all this confident things in his press conferences, but there just looks like he isn't trusting everybody there. And the fact of the matter is, I talked about Richie James. I talked about Rashee Rice. But Marquez Valdes-Scantling getting 80% of the snaps yesterday and seeing just 1 target is about all I needed to know. He's not being trusted, and I can't blame Mahomes. But you got to figure something out here, because there's 2 weeks. You're probably going to go to the playoffs. There's 2 weeks to figure it out. And when you get to the playoffs, records reset. Doesn't matter what you've done in the regular season. You just got to win. I believe the Chiefs can do that. They just got to figure it out again these last 2 weeks against 2 teams that aren't exactly the greatest teams, with the Bengals and the Chargers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got 2 weeks left of the playoffs. I expect the Chiefs to be there. There is a pretty good possibility. They, honestly, at this point, they don't even need to win. They just need other stuff to happen. But they can secure it with a win next week once again. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Go scroll down, the little red subscribe button. Press that. We're going to keep you covered on all things Kansas City Chiefs here until the playoffs and through the playoffs and even to the offseason, as hopefully it'll be a better offseason, and hopefully we'll be holding a Super Bowl trophy after all this. We'll have to see, though. We appreciate you watching. As always, Chiefs Kingdom.